Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live session at the Reactors. My name is Rav, and I am the Program Manager at Reactor London. Before we begin, please take a moment to read our Code of Conduct. We're all here to learn, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, and please be kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. Today's session is on using custom domains with Azure App Services and will be led by Liam, our regional cloud advocate at Microsoft. So with that, I'm now going to hand over to Liam, who will take over the session. Hey, Liam.
Oh, hello. Hello, everybody. And it sounds like your dog might need some food. That's a good one. Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's so good to be back. I'm just going to share my screen so I can get my my slides up, and we will get going. Awesome. All right, so let me hide that one. That is not what I wanted to do. There we go. Pop this one up. So I trust you can see my slides. Just give us a yay if you can. Rav?
Yes, we can see your slides. Yes,
awesome.
We can see your
We're
slides.
Good. Nice one. Alrighty, so welcome to today's session. And today we're going to be talking about custom domains with app services. So a few of you may have joined us over the past sort of month or two. In February, you would have noticed that I did a stream or a series on DevOps. And through that, I made sort of like a short travel blog website. And that's what we're going to be going through today. We're going to be adding custom domain to that one. Not to worry if you missed that. I'm going to catch everybody up so we're on the same page as we go through the slides. So a little agenda. So a little bit about me, who I am, what I do, and where I've come from. Some learning goals. The Devops Series recap that I just spoke about. What is a domain name? DNS, because that is probably the most important part of this one. And the project itself. So let me introduce myself to you. Who am I? So my name is Liam Hampton. I'm based in London in the UK, and I am the Microsoft Regional Cloud Advocate based out of the Reactor. I'm an open source contributor, and prior to this role, I was actually a software engineer and a developer advocate at IBM. Through that, I wrote a lot of Golang, a lot of Node.js, all sorts of languages, and sort of, a lot of coding, basically. Through that, I've become a technical blogger, an IoT enthusiast, and of course, a public speaker. I talk at conferences. I like doing sessions like this. It is just so much fun to engage with everybody on the stream. That being said, the chat is open, so please do put some questions in there if you have them, and I'll answer them periodically throughout the stream. So I'll do a break after my slides, answer a few questions, and then we'll get into the second half of the stream. And then at the end, I'll do some more questions then. So to begin with, let's look at some learning goals. What do I want you to get from this? I want you to understand what domain names are and how they work, kind of what goes on under the covers, get that out of my mouth. The second lesson is to put learnt lessons into practice. I want you to go away and be able to try this. However, the caveat to this one is it's not free. So you can do this yourself too, and I really want you to. So there's a way. If you sign up for a free account, whether you're a student, use aka.ms/A4S. And if you're a professional, use azure.microsoft.com/free. Then you get some credits, and then you can kind of play with this yourself. If you have existing domain names, you can transfer them into Azure. You don't even have to if you don't want to, but that's an option. You can attach them to your instances, to your virtual machines, and like I'm doing today, app services. So let's have a little look at what I did in the series or the DevOps series in February. So the first episode, wrote some code, which was a Golang server. Dockerized or containerized that code, so packaged it all up, stored it in Azure Container Registries up in the cloud, and then deployed it into App Services in Azure. So we had a running app. The second episode built a pipeline to automate some of the manual steps. So when I wrote some code and made a change, I was able to push that into GitHub using Git, so version control. GitHub was then able to use GitHub Actions to create that pipeline, build the Docker image, and push it to Azure. Ultimately, what that enabled was I could make a code change locally and push it to GitHub, and it would transpire or show through on App Services without me needing to do anything in between. So all of this DevOps process, sort of automating everything I possibly could. In the final episode, went into Terraform. So if I wanted you to go and create this yourself, rather than having to build the pipeline, set it all up yourself, if you wanted to build it in App Services, if you wanted the code, you could literally clone the repository, do Terraform, apply, send it off, and infrastructure as code file would sort of create everything in Azure for you. So I went through IAC, again, automating, something that you want to, if you want to replicate it in different environments, such as like test and pre-production or production, so on and so forth. Ultimately, we were left with a website which looked like this. This was the project that I was creating for you all. Super relatable, something that everybody can do, quick and easy and free up until this point. But today, we are going to be looking at this bad boy. We're going to be looking at URLs. What is a custom domain? That looks super pretty as it is. Liam's World Websites.azurewebsites.net is good, but it could be better. I want it to be better. So if you wanted to have something like liamsworld.com or another domain, you can do that. And I'm going to show you how today. Before we jump straight into it, I'm going to look at some common terms, or I'm going to tell you some common terms which I'm going to use because there's a lot of acronyms, a lot of things go with this stream. So we have domain name, which is a recognizable name of a location. We're going to go further than that, don't worry. Next is DNS, domain name system. That's under the hood of domain names. Again, we're going to jump into that in great detail, but DNS stands for domain name system. FTP, file transfer protocol. ISP is internet service provider. URI is a uniform resource locator, and a URL is uniform resource. Nope, got that the wrong way around. Sorry, uniform resource locator is URL, which is a subset of URI. My bad. I will change that in the slides. And IP is internet protocol, not intellectual property. Don't get those confused. And that's just the governing role of the World Wide Web. So how data is transferred. So Liam, you may be asking, what is a domain? Okay, what is a domain? Tell me. It's a human readable website name. That's what a domain is. It's something that you and I can read and understand. Nothing else. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what a domain name is. Okay, and it looks like this. Ignore the HTTPS for now, but what we care about at the moment is www.liamsworld.com. That is a domain name. But it's not all what it seems. There's a lot to this. Simple string, simple word to us, but there's a lot more to it. And we can break it down quite far. You have a top level domain, which is the .com at the end. What is a top level? Well, it's specified in the RFC 920, and that is just a whole, like an official document of what a domain name is, what it should stand for. It's kind of the rules that domain names should go by. And that's that's the top level domain that .com is specified under. But along with .com, you have .edu, so education, you've got .net, you've got .org, you have country-specific ones like .co.uk. If you're from the UK, if you're from France, it might be .fr. If you're from Spain, ES, I think, and AU for Australia, you get the point. Country-specific domains are top-level domains, okay? So that is hierarchy. So many more, okay? You can have .dev as well. You can have .book if you really want it. You name it, they're all out there. You can get them. The next part is domain name. And this gets a bit confusing because it's the domain name within a domain name. But go with me. It is the part that you buy. It's the part that registrars will give you, that you'll purchase, that you'll own. And it is the words that we speak, i.e. Liam's World. So everything else around it is kind of fuzz at the moment. The bit that we care about is the middle bit, Liam's World. And like I said, it's purchased from your registrars. It represents the location on the internet of where that website resides. And this is the part that's kind of tagged to an IP address. We'll go into that further in a minute. It is, like I said, Liam's World, and it can be sometimes used with SEO ranking. Now, I say to an extent on the slide because it's not to the full extent that you're going to use this, or Google would use this for indexing, right? If you were to have a domain saying, I don't know, the best bacon butties in London, super good for SEO ranking, because that's a very explicit term, okay? However, you can't just go and buy the best bacon butties in London, have that as URL, maybe the best milkshakes in London, and buy that and kind of have them all together. Registrars and providers and sort of search engines all counteract this, and they battle this consistently. There's lots to do with it, but to an extent, a good, well-named URL or domain name is preferable. It's good. Okay, it's going to help you with SEO ranking. Having a really wild one like Liam's World 123XYZ is great for me to know. Probably not very good or very memorable for you to sort of use, and it's probably not going to help me with SEO search rankings. And this is the next part, which is a root domain. And the root domain is compromises of the top level and the domain name, which in turn gives you a full readable address. liamsworld.com. That's what you'd say. You don't usually say to somebody, hey, go to this website, www. or https, www.liamsworld.com. You say, go to liamsworld.com. It's a full address. It's readable. It's translatable. So like I said, it's the domain name and the top level domain sort of concatenated. This is usually where the highest page of your website, if you're building one, would land. So think about index.js or index.html rather is probably the best one. And that would be your homepage in your website. So the top level of the hierarchy is index.html. Everything else comes off of that would be a subpage, or in this instance, a subdomain pages, because they're built from the root domain, if that makes sense. So I don't know, you might have categories or a basket or images or gallery. You're not going to point your root domain to those pages. Your root domain is the main one that everything's built off of. And like I said, liamsworld.com is the example in the one that we've got here. Second to last, we have the subdomain. And this is where it gets quite interesting, because the subdomain is actually part of the top level domain. So they're kind of connected in a way. I'm not going to get into too much detail of how, but .com and www. are connected to some extent. But it gets even better, because you can have any subdomain under any root domain, and you can have many of them, okay? And what I mean by that is you can have www. or blog. or book. or video. You get the point. So you end up with www.liamsworld.com or blog.liamsworld.com. Still, they're both acceptable. They're both subdomains, and they're both translatable. However, they can cause canonicalization errors, and that is just duplicated content on websites. And that gets really, really hairy for sort of indexes. So Google really dislikes it because of it's duped content. It's heavy. It's not good for your website. It's annoying for them when it comes to sort of SEO and indexing your page, things like that. Again, that's a whole nother kettle of fish I'm not getting into in today's stream, but needs to be wary of it, which is why you don't often see them you don't see them too often, actually. There are a good few examples that I could give. One of them would probably be gist. So if you're used to using GitHub obviously has gist for sort of single files. If you use gist.github.com, that's a subdomain of github.com. And you can see github.com goes to the main page, which is their sort of main landing page, and gist.github.com goes to the gist page, if that kind of makes sense. So that's a subdomain. And of course, we've got protocol. Now, protocol in this instance is HTTPS. I'm not going to jump into that because it isn't really that relevant here. That's more of a networking side. But by protocol, HTTPS, so Hypertext Transfer Protocol, is, well, this is S, so this is secure. So it has SSL on it, or TLS, whichever one you use. But you could end up having FTP. So like I said at the beginning, File Transfer Protocol could be part of this one. Or SMTP, if it's like a mail server, for example. So again, we're not going to jump too much into it, but it's just something to be aware of. So that's the protocol of the domain. We're going to go one deeper. Okay. Now we're just going to go kind of off a cliff from this point onwards. Stick with me. I'll try and make it as simple as possible for you to understand. Humans are simple creatures. Peter Griffin, he thinks with words. Okay. He doesn't think in numbers. However, just like you and I, we're all the same. We don't think in numbers. We don't compute binary numbers in our head when we're talking letters, right? So if someone speaks to us, we're not computing that to numbers. We're not translating it. It goes straight through. However, computers are in a network. They think in numbers. Computers are translating everything which we as humans input to them, translate it to numbers, binary. So every time you type on your keyboard, I don't know, maybe you press the letter H or A or any key, translates to ASCII code, binary, translatable, ones and zeros, go straight from letters to numbers. So it's no different when it comes to networking. In networks, they talk in numbers or web addresses. So how do we bridge them? How do we bridge humans talking in words to computers talking in numbers? Well, so excuse me. We have domain name system, DNS, that fantastic system called DNS. Amazing, right? So this was actually created in 1983 by Paul Mockapetris, I think is how you say his name. Same year, the internet. Okay, so the internet debuted in April 30th, 83, I believe. I hope so. So they had to have an easy way for computers to talk to one another. So they came up with the concept of DNS. It's an internet standard now. So if you are to read through any protocols, if you're going to be reading through any sort of how you route your information from consumer to sort of the network and beyond, it's an internet standard that everybody uses. It's essentially the phone book of the internet, is probably the best way to say it. Imagine you are opening a phone book, you want to find somebody's number. You're not going to look for their number, you're going to look for their name. The name is then going to translate to the number. So the phone book is going to tell you the number of the person that you're looking for. Same way that DNS translates the readable words that we're inputting into numbers, IP addresses, right? So you can kind of see how they're translating from one another now. This is the conversion. So it resolves domain names. And the reason we need this is because every device is connected to the internet, okay? Near enough. So they all have their unique IP addresses. How do you talk to each other? I don't want to sort of try and hit a website and have to remember a number. I don't want to have to try and create a LAN party and remember all their IP addresses. That's just annoying, right? So names, preferable. DNS resolution sorts that out for you. So how does it work? And this goes like another level deeper, okay? But stick with me. Good diagram coming. Imagine if you are trying to get to google.com, okay? Real easy. The IP address for google.com is cached already. So cache just means that it is saved in memory. So at this point, we're going to say the DNS server has saved this before. We've already searched for google.com. It knows the IP address. Awesome. Easy peasy. It'll say, hey, what's the IP address for google.com? I want to go there. DNS server says, cool, let me check my database. Let me check my memory, okay? And in the memory, it's going to go, right, so I've got liam.com, I've got bikeshop.com. I have google.com. I know this one. It's in my memory. So it sends it back. IP address for Google is 8.8.8, okay? Easy peasy, it knows that. However, what if it is not cached? What if the TTL, time to live, of the cache has expired for that domain or that IP address in the memory, okay? So say it's been a couple of minutes, I've searched for google.com again, and suddenly it's not there. It's expired. We have arduino.com, because that was the next one down in the list. Oh no, what does it do? The DNS server will reach out to a resolver. And this is called a couple of different things. I've just called it resolver on here. Essentially your internet service provider, saying, hey, what is the domain name? What's the IP address of google.com? I have a host that's trying to find it. Resolver says, I don't know, checks its table, checks its memory. It doesn't have it. So the resolver now takes over and it says, right, it's going to go to the root server and it's going to say, hey, what is the IP address of google.com? The root server says, I don't know, but I do know the top level domain server for .com. Okay, so this root server has, you can see this hierarchy breaking down now. So the resolver says, okay, cool. I'm going to go to TLD server X, which is top level domain server X. What is the IP address of Google? And that server is going to say, I don't know, but I do know the authoritative name server for that domain. I know who knows everything about that domain name, IP address, location, and it's server X. So it is called an authoritative name server, and it's going to go to, the resolver is going to go to the authoritative name server and say, hey, can I have the IP address of google.com? And it's going to say, sure, I know that. I know everything about this domain name. I know who created it. I know who owns it, when it was bought, when it expires, and of course the IP address that goes with it. So it sends it back to the resolver, 8.8.8.8. That one then passes it back to the DNS server. And when it comes in, it's saying, wonderful, it's got it. It caches it. So it's now in the server database and sends it off to the host saying, cool, I know this one, saved for a later date. And the host can now speak to google.com. So I know that was pretty whizzed through, but if we just take a step back, if anybody wants to sort of see that one again, you can kind of see how we're going down in levels, kind of like Chinese whispers, trying to find out the next clue in this network diagram. Go to A to B, B to C, C to D, and so on. So it kind of flows across. And it's really interesting if you sort of jump down into this and how DNS really works and who knows what about domains. Or at least I find it really interesting anyway. Okay. So where can you get a domain name from? Where can you buy them from? Where can you purchase them from? Okay. Typical registrars, you've probably seen these actually TV adverts online everywhere. You have GoDaddy. You've got 123reg, you've got HostGator, Google Domains. They're the typical ones that you'd go to that you'd see advertised everywhere. Other ones, you've got cloud vendor registrars, Azure, AWS, IBM Cloud. I actually have domains in both of, different ballparks here. I've got one in AWS, I've got one in IBM Cloud, I've got one in Azure now. I've got one in GoDaddy and Google Domains. So I've got quite a few hanging around everywhere. Different registrars have different perks, different reasons. Just up to you who you use and why. They typically cost around £10 a year, so about 80 pence per month if you're in the UK. If you're abroad and that's a different currency, you're just going to have to translate that yourself, but it's not going to deviate too much. And of course, I say £10 a year because these are like the cheap, basic ones that really are just pretty standard, very unique. Like to me, if I want liamhampton.com, which I own, it's £10 a year. If I wanted something a little bit better, like slideshow.com, probably going to be a lot more money. It really depends on sort of popularity, kind of like a hidden market out there for them. Okay, so some tools. What tools can you use for DNS queries? What tools can you use to sort of find out what domain is being used, sort of IP addresses, all those kind of things? You got Dig. Dig is called Domain Information Groper, and this queries DNS servers, very much like it just queries servers very much like the resolver. You have NSLookup, which some people may have heard of already. This is on most operating systems, and it uses only internal resolver. Probably not the best one to use long term. I think in 2004 it was deemed deprecated, but it kind of bounced back from that. It's kind of like in the middle. It's not the best, not the worst. I use it every now and then for like networking projects, but nothing really major. Host is another cool one. Host converts domain to IP and vice versa, so IP to domains. That's a really good one. I've used that a few times. So these are local ones. Okay, so these are ones that you can have on your host machine, on like your laptop or your desktop PC. Next, you've got web-based ones. You may have heard of this. Whois, Whois is a really big one. And you can find out lots about people or information about domain names through Whois, same as Into DNS and What's My DNS. Really cool tools. You can find out loads about them. But one thing to mention is with domain names, you can protect them. So I think top level domains like .com, you can. So if you have .co.uk, not so much. And what that means is there's certain information will be shown if you type in the domain name into one of these tools. Maybe like personal information, I think is sort of hidden in these tools if you have it protected. Just something which you can either pay for with some of the registrars. Sometimes you get it for free. I know in Azure, it's free on .com. Haven't really tried it on any others. Haven't really looked into it too much, to be honest with you. But certainly for today, the one that I'm showing is protected. And I apologize if you can hear a siren in the background. I live next to a police station and near a busy road. So, other domains. I've talked a lot about IPv4 IP addresses, which is your standard 32-bit addresses. But there are others, okay? And the others, which I haven't really mentioned, probably worth a mention, not going to go into detail with, onion addresses. So the Tor network. How is that different? So your peer-to-peer networking. IPv6, which is like the new standard, well, I say new standard, it's like a newer version of IPv4, 128 bits against the 32-bit one, which you're sort of used to, which is like 192.168.0.1, for example. You got the Ethereum domain names as well. So you can name your crypto wallets, because those of you that are into Web3, nice. You can name your domain wallet apparently through the Ethereum network. So those are some other ones which I didn't really want to spend any time on, and in fact I'm not going to spend any time on them, but they're very much there, and you can check them out. Okay, enough talking. I'm going to have a quick drink, and we're going to do a demo. But before I do that, I want to say this is not free. I have bought a domain name from Azure, which I think was like £10 of my credits, and I'm going to add it to the app service, and I've got an SSL and TSL certificate, which I will be sort of adding. In Azure, get it for free. In other places, you might have to pay for these, but certainly what I'm going to show you today is very minimal cost, certainly doable within your credits, but not so much, you don't have to do this outside if you don't want to. Just really good to show you. Okay, so Rav, do we have any questions in the chat so far? Because I've been talking for about 20 minutes now.
No questions in the chat.
Okay, cool. Just have a quick sip. Cool. Alrighty, so let's get into the demo. What are we doing today? So if I go into here, let me turn on my my mask, because there's some things I don't want people to see, keys and whatnot. So cool. The first thing I want to show people, just so everybody can see this one. You can. First place I want to go to is App Service Domains. So if I go into App Service Domains, I can see that I've kind of cheated here a little bit because I've already got a domain name. I've bought liamstestdomain.com. And that's already mine, but it's not used anywhere. Okay. If you want to create one, you just go over into App Service Domains, you click on Create, and it'll open up this lovely box. You just fill in some information. So resource group, you can search for domain name, call that whatever you want. You fill in some contact information. So your name, some sort of basic information is needed. So this is when I said it can be protected. Some of this information doesn't show when you do a search on your domain. Again, real personal stuff, addresses, postcode, all that kind of stuff. Then you go to the advanced. This is where you can see this privacy protection. So if I had if I actually try this, and I can try and show you this on a stream actually. Let's go to, can we do a .co.uk? So let's see if it's available. Cool. So okay, it's not available. I'm not going to waste any time on that one. But if it's a .co.uk, it might not show as available, or enabled to be able to have privacy protection on it. So it would be grayed out. And then you just go through standard procedure, review and create, like every other service in Azure. You go through that one, ignore the fact it's not validating. But cool. So you'd buy your domain from there. Like I said, £12, £10, something like that. What I want to do today is I want to add that domain name that I've bought, and I want to put it into this one here. So this is the Liam's World website. And if I load it up, hopefully if I reload it, there we go, it's still cached. Fantastic. So this is what it is, okay? This is my little travel website that I had, that I've been building. And at the moment, it is currently on this URL here, liamsworldwebsites.azurewebsites.net. How do I get my custom domain? How do I get Liam's test domain on there? Let's go down in the settings and go to custom domains. So ignore the fact that it's grayed out. That's deliberate. That's my my mask, because my custom domain verification ID really don't want people to see, because I can't change it very easily. So in here, this is where I said it's going to start costing money, because I need to upgrade my app service plan. So what I can do is click on that one and it will take me through to upgrade it. But before I do that, you can see down here, the app service domains, it's already seen that I already have one available to use. So it's just down here and it's active, which is pretty cool. So if I click on here to upgrade my app service domain, let's go to dev and test. I don't need a production grade system. If I just select that one and click apply, this might take a second. It shouldn't take too long. Okay, cool. It's just going to be loading for a second. There we go. Awesome. So that is updated. Let's go back to this one, close that. So what we can see here is in custom domains. So we've got a little bit more information now inside this box, inside the portal. And then you can see we have one secure domain, liamsworldwebsites.azurewebsites.net, but I want to add a custom domain. Okay. So if I click on add custom domain here, and I want to put, what do I want? I want liamstestdomain.com. So let's copy that one and let's put www.liamstestdomain.com and validate it. And as you can see, it's validated it nicely. So the custom domain verification number, which was pulled through from the domain itself. CNAME, again, we're not going to go into A name and CNAME records, but it's essentially having subdomains and part of that. So when you type in example.com or liamstestdomain.com, rather than putting your subdomain in, it should automatically filter through. Again, different stream. So we can add that custom domain on. And this demo is actually really kind of short today, because it's really kind of like point and click. But what we can see is once it's done in that, awesome. So it is here, okay? So inside my app service, I can see I've got two domains. I've got Liam's World website and I've got www.liamstestdomain.com, but it's saying it's not secure. We'll ignore that for a minute, because what we can do is go to, let's try and copy and paste that one into a web browser or into a tab, and hopefully it should do something. Okay, cool. So it is going to let me through, hopefully. It says it's unsafe, but we'll give it a moment. It might show. Ah, awesome, it did. Cool. So as you can see, it's not secure. HTTPS is not enabled, so we haven't got secure traffic. All that means is that there's no SSL or TLS certificate when attached to this domain. Therefore, I can't provide any security with data in transit or that's going through the website. But it's fine, because I don't actually have any data going through the website yet, but I will do. So I do want to have a certificate there. What I can do to do that is in the portal on the app service, if I go to TLS and SSL settings, what I want to do is click, have a little read through here. You can kind of see there's nothing available. I need to go and create one. So I want to go to private key certificates. And in private key certificates, we have these options. So you can import one, you can upload certificates, or import key vault certificates, so anything from elsewhere. Or what I want to do today is create an app service managed certificate. This is awesome because it means I get one for free with Azure App Services. Therefore, sometimes it can cost quite a bit. And I want to add it for this one. So if I had multiple domains, I could select them from here, but I want to tie it to liamstestdomain.com and click create. Now this could take a minute. I hope it doesn't take too long. At least when I did it last, it was pretty quick, but I've done it previous to this as well, and it's taken a bit more time. So we'll give it a moment. So I'm just checking, is there any, there's no questions in the chat yet. Keep them coming. If you have any questions, please do put them in the chat. Let me know or ask me. Oh, fantastic. It has created already. Goodness, that was quick. Awesome. So if we look down here, it's still saying that it is not secure. That's because we need to put a binding. So we need to do an SSL binding. And what that means is the certificate is created for the domain name. However, still haven't bound it to the domain name. So to tell it that, to use that certificate. So I want to click on add binding. And what it'll do is it's saying, come down here. So we look at the custom domain. Again, if we had a different one, I'd have multiple in there, but I don't. I've only got one. I've got the certificate thumbprint, which I want to collect is this one here. So liamstestdomain.com. And you see it's like funny valued after. And for the TSL, we want the SNI and SSL type there. Add that as a binding. Let that validate. And all of a sudden we can see it is secure. But we're not done yet. There's one more thing that we need to do. And we need to make sure that we only have HTTP traffic only going through to this app service. So I need to check that and turn that on. And hopefully that has done it. So if we were to go to this website over here and I reload, and it hasn't done it yet. Let's do it again. Don't think I need to save anything there. Give that a moment to update. Oh, it does want me to save something. I don't know, let's try it. It was playing a bit weird earlier as well. But we go with it. There we go, fantastic. It's set up, it's bound, it worked. We have got liamstestdomain.com. And as you can see in the top left corner, we have got the connection is secure. We've got the little padlock, which tells me that that domain there is secure with a certificate. So that is the demo. I said it was quick. We're going to jump back into the slides, but that's just to show you how quick and easy it is to get a secure domain name on your app service in Azure, which I thought was really cool. We're just going to click OK for that one. Cool. So let's jump back into the slides. Don't worry, I've only got a couple more, then I'll take questions because I can see it sort of pop it up in the corner of my eye. So a quick recap of what we've done. We've been through what a domain is. So hopefully you know what a domain is. It is obviously a readable format, which is then translated into IP addresses, which are then readable by servers because computers work in numbers, humans work in words. We understand why they're used. And we understand DNS and how it works. So the whole sort of back and forth handshaking between servers. And I've showed you how to add a custom domain to an app service in Azure, which is really fun. So what's next? As I said, I actually did a stream or a series in February on DevOps. And this was the project which came from that stream. And it was all around the DevOps lifecycle processes through that, the technologies involved. And I created off the back of that a Cloud Skills Challenge. What's a Cloud Skills Challenge? Well, it's a bunch of modules in Microsoft Learn, which I'd love for you to go and have a go at. There's a number on there, so that's not all of them, but they're not too long. They're about 40 minutes, half an hour each. There's a couple in there. And if you complete it and show me, you can get 50% off your AZ900 certification. And the link is aka.ms/DevOpsLDNCSC. And I'll ask Rav really nicely if she can drop that one in the chat for you all. To get the voucher, to get the certification code from me, I can't reach out to you for obvious reasons. GDPR, I don't know your contact details or anything as you'll sign up to this event. I don't have access to any of that. But if you did connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn and you sent me a picture of your completed modules and hey, Liam, completed it. Please can you send me through a code? I thought it was good. Awesome. I will send through a code for you. And that's how you redeem it. Really easy, really simple. And to be honest, you don't even need to connect with me. Just send me a message. I think my DMs are open on Twitter for everybody, even if you don't follow me. Yeah, go nuts with that one. So again, that is the link, aka.ms/LDN Devops Series. Oh, no, sorry, that is the Series 1 link, not my Cloud Challenge. If you want the previous series, that's the link there. Okay, thank you ever so much for listening. I hope you found it enjoyable and learned something new. I mean, I certainly did. There was things in this slides which I didn't know prior to doing this stream, which I thought were really fun. And it was great to sort of refresh my memory from my networking days at university. So with that, I would say, do we have any questions?
Yes. Hi, we have, I'm just going to show them to you on the screen. So we have one question from Jeff.
Cool. Hello. Hey, Jeff. Okay, so if you wanted to automate the entire process and not use the portal, is that possible with Azure CLI? I believe it is. I do believe that you can do all of this through the app services. So if you want to have an app service with a custom domain, I believe there might be a few manual steps. I haven't tried it myself, but I know it's certainly available to do.
Awesome. And then we have a next question from Jason.
How does the app service renew certificate? Is it automatic? I believe it is. Yes. So obviously with everything, you have an expiration. In app services, I believe it does automatically renew the certificate. You can turn that on and off. This was a free one that's provided by Azure and App Services, which I think is really awesome and really cool, because I think I've done it before in PHP websites with my own sort of projects. And I've had to do sort of like some open source certificates. I know they're certainly out there, some that make you buy them and then you renew them every year. This one is free in Azure.
Great. Then we have next question from Joshua.
Will you be covering using a subdomain from a domain with a domain registrar other than Azure? Great question. Thank you. You prompted me. I forgot to mention this. Yes, you can use other registrars. You can use domains that are elsewhere. And yes, you can use subdomains as well. I think I kind of get what you mean when you ask that one. It's all possible to do that. You don't have to stay within Azure. Doesn't need to be your registrar at all. You can bring it in from external. Like I said, I could have done this with my other links in AWS or in, I've got one in GoDaddy, I've got one in Google Domains, quite a few places. I just wanted to show you how quick it was in Azure, because ultimately it doesn't really matter, or to me, it doesn't really matter where the domains are or what the registrar is. It just matters exactly sort of where, the perks that are coming from them, if that makes sense.
Awesome. So we have one last question from Jeff.
Brilliant question. Okay, so it is actually a really good question because I don't know the name of it. It's on the Chrome store. I could probably just quickly check. I don't know how you check your Chrome extensions. Okay, I'm getting it up. Top right. I think it's just called mask. I think it's just called mask. Yeah. There we go. It is brilliant for screen sharing because there are a number of things that I didn't want people to see on my streams, and I only came across it for this stream about 2 weeks ago, which is fantastic because obviously I had to keep regenerating my keys and I could have just hidden them this whole time.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions we have.
An exact name for that is AZ Mask.
So is it
AZ Mask?
AZ as in AZ or AZ as in
AZ space mask, and Grav will put that in the chat for you. But again, if you can just search, you can search for that on Chrome, which I think is awesome. I mean, I found it really, really useful, as you can tell.
Okay, awesome.
Alrighty.
I don't think we have any more questions, but thanks very much, Liam. Thanks for the session today.
Are you able to put the chat to my Cloud Skills Challenge in the chat?
Yes,
please?
Absolutely. So awesome. I will put that in. I just need to find. Do you have the AKA link?
I do. It is. So aka ms / DevOps LDN CSC.
Awesome. On the chats, that's Liam's Cloud Skills Challenge. Great.
Fantastic.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this session. And Liam will be back next month with an amazing 3-part series, which, Liam, do you want to give a bit of heads up to everybody?
I forgot to mention that one. Yes, so next month I'll be back with my colleague in New York, and we're going to be going through a series on virtual networks. So if you're interested in sort of like your virtual machines, your subnets, private and public, you've got access control lists that we're going through, security groups, deploying things into virtual machines. It's going to be a crammed series. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And we're back. And I think it starts on the 7th of April, and it's every Thursday after that. So it is 7th, 14th, and 21st. And of course, I think for the final one, we'll probably be asking people to see what they want in our final episode. So again, the 28th as well.
Amazing. I have put the link to your first episode next week, in April in the chats. So guys, you don't want to miss this, because obviously this is a cross collaboration with an amazing regional cloud advocate based in New York. So please do join us for this series. But yeah, that's it. Thanks very much, Liam. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening or have a great day wherever you're joining in from. And we shall see you next month.
Thank you so much, everybody, and take care. I look forward to hearing from you.